Now we're going to talk about spacing. How much space do you want to give each light? Also, how high do you want the light above the plants? Basically, rule of thumb is you want 16 to 20 square feet for every 1,000-watt light that you have. I'll repeat that. 16 to 20 square feet. That's a 4x4 area or a 4x5 area. Different lights, though, you can configure them in different ways. These particular lights that are in Steve's are made for 3.5 by 5 foot area. They're optimum. The optimal height for these lights are 31 inches. We know that because we've lab tested them. That gives the most even distribution. However, depending on other people's lights and their efficiency, you're probably going to want them anywhere from 18 to 31 inches from the light. Most people, around 24 inches is a good rule of thumb. Of course, if you have them close and you start seeing the plants are burning, you're going to want to lift the lights up. I mean, it's just pretty much common sense. What you don't want to have, though, is you don't want to have the lights really far up. There's something that's called the inverse law. It's true with radio waves, light waves, everything. If you have 1,000 lumens and your light is 1 foot away, when you move it to 2 feet, you're only going to have now 250 lumens. It's an exponential factor that the farther you go, you just keep losing more and more and more. So distance is very important. Keep that light 18 to 31 inches from the light, preferably 21. And if you know the manufacturer, they can give you the recommended specifications. With Bell lights, they're 31 inches. That's the optimum distance that you want. Also, if you want to get more even lighting, there's several ways that you can do that. One of the ways is instead of using a 1,000-watt bulb, you can use two 600s. Now, the 600-watt bulb and ballast combination is the most efficient lumens per watt that you're going to get. It's the best. However, they're as expensive as a 1,000-watt light. But if you use two 600s, you can actually bring that down closer to the plants and get even distribution. Then if you wanted to, you could even go with 300-400 watters and get even more distribution. But it becomes cost prohibitive after a while because these lighting fixtures do cost a lot. So you have to decide how you want to do it. I've talked to a lot of growers, and I know one grower in particular. He uses 600-watt lights. He gets £1.50 for every 600-watt fixture that he uses. So it's something that you have to consider, and you have to think about what's in your budget. Personally, I like using 1,000 watters. Another thing you might want to consider if you're on a budget, instead of getting one 1,000 watt, you might want to get two 400 watts. You don't have as much wattage in the cottage, so to speak, but you actually have to deliver more light to the plants, and here's why. Because you can lower those 400-watt lights a lot closer to the plants. Remember the inverse law that I was talking about? Well, there you go. You get them closer, and you actually have more lumens per square foot than you did if you used 1,000 watt and had to go twice as far. Something to think about. Also, light movers. Light movers are a good thing. They're good for keeping a nice even growth to your crop. A lot of growers I ask say three bulbs on a light mover is like having 4 bulbs. I personally wouldn't grow that way, but that's up to you. If you're in a budget and you have extra room, then I would say absolutely use a light mover, get that going across. You're going to get more yield per light. You won't get more yield per square foot. And that's something to take into account as well. Also, do not try to make your light mover because it just won't work. I don't know, but when you use a light mover, it actually stops when it gets to one end and hesitates and then comes back across. Why? Because the middle of the light mover is getting twice as much light. So it hesitates for a second and then comes back across, hesitates on this second. It's very difficult to make your own. The best thing to do, go and buy one.